What's up everybody, welcome back to another top 10 video, this time counting down the best plays from week 3 of stage 2 in the Overwatch League. Another wild week of games just concluded as Florida Mayhem picked up their second win of the season over a flustered Dallas Fuel. Meanwhile, the LA Gladiators continue to prove that they're a top team, sweeping the LA Valiant and later going on to take down the London Spitfire, the stage 1 champions, in convincing fashion. A lot of teams seem stuck in the mud with this current meta, whilst others are turning things around and standing out amongst the pack. One thing that will always remain clear, however, is that the top moments of the week never cease to impress, and that's exactly what we're here to discuss today. So without further delay, let's jump right into the list with the play in our 10th spot. To kick things off, we have a really impressive pulse bomb delivery from Asher.
Off with heels. What is that? Oh, what is that? Just a fade away over the shoulder. Even Kobe couldn't have done it. Asher, that's so filthy.
He can see all the squishies clumped together, dashes directly into them, pretty risky against the McCree, but nonetheless lands a ridiculous stick that would have actually picked up all 3 of them had Hagopan not used his Transcendence. For something this stylish to happen in the league is impressive in its own right, but for Asher to pull it up against one of the team's highest in the overall standings just makes it all the more significant. In at number 9 we have one of the more impressive hooks seen in the league thus far. After being caught out in the open and taking a heap of damage from Zunba's self-destruct, EQO manages to stay composed under the pressure, somehow landing this ridiculous hook onto Fleta to cancel out the only remaining ultimate in the teamfight, allowing for Philly to storm the payload and capture the second checkpoint with relative ease. The camera work is a little awkward here, but we can see that after dashing, Fleta had positioned himself in such a way as to essentially be in the backlines, easily capable of dashing into Boombox to destabilize the push from Philly, making this hook from EQO absolutely pivotal. In our 8th spot this week, we have something pretty unique. I could be wrong, but I think that this marks the first time in the league that we have seen an intentional nano boost go onto a Zenyatta. And who else but Jonak would be the recipient?
He can't get the translocator off in time. Goodbye Fraggy though, Jonak, he's got the nano boost and now he's going crazy!
Walking into the side room, he effortlessly bursts down Fraggy as every single orb in the initial volley is a critical hit. As Neptuno comes in for the res, in his mind he probably thinks that the rest of his team is more than capable of dealing with a single Zenyatta. Little do they know that he's nano boosted for the time being though, as he cleanly wipes out Neptuno. Dropping to just a sliver of health, Jonak is still able to activate his ultimate in time and survives the dive from Poker, as the rest of NYXL goes on to make significant progress with the payload. Incredible play from the supports in this clip. In at number 7, we have a highlight from New York's second series in the week against San Francisco. In this play, AboV does as only he knows how, staying alive against all odds and coming in clutch for his team to take the first round win. Beginning with a well-timed pulse bomb onto Dak, just as the Transcendence from Sleepy comes to an end, he starts to put an end to the defensive efforts of the Shock as New York edge closer and closer to flipping the point over. Accidentally coming short with his dashes, he recalls onto the point and immediately takes down Dante as the teamfight is now about even. Flipping the point, AboV deals the killing blow to Nomi and somehow did enough in just a matter of seconds to charge yet another pulse bomb, which inevitably he uses to find the stick onto Sleepy, taking him out of the final fight before he can even make a noticeable impact. He continues to pester the remaining members of San Francisco as Libero cleans up the point, and that's the end of the round. I feel as though I say it every week, but AboV is just on another level with his Tracer play. His ability to move freely around any given map, time each of his abilities masterfully in accordance with the obviously top tier aim, all while staying alive and keeping the objective in play. Once again exemplifying why he's one of the best Tracer players in the world. In at number 6, we have a really well executed play out of Fate and Envy on the side of the LA Valiant. As Houston filters onto the point, LA think fast and shut the movement down in a matter of seconds. To start the play off, Envy launches his self-destruct directly into Houston, something that typically wouldn't prove much of a hassle to avoid for the Outlaws. Just break the line of sight and you're good. Thinking exactly that, Elixir assumed that he and the rest of his team are going to be able to survive the blast and invests his Graviton in an attempt to swing the teamfight. Much to their surprise, Fate immediately uses his Reinhardt in accordance with the Diva Bomb and knocks down a few crucial targets as they were attempting to escape. The Graviton is completely wasted for the Outlaws in a teamfight they definitely should have won when considering their ult economy going in. A great display of communication and teamwork from Fate and Envy as they rapidly clean up the teamfight and send Houston back to spawn. Coming in at number 5 this week, we have yet another play from the LA Valiant, however this time it comes from the Battle of LA that took place earlier in the week. Having secured the control point, LA pressure forward to the choke and capitalizes on a rare mistake from Fisher as he charges away from his team.
And in goes for the charge, doesn't hit it. Graviton surge time. That ultimate now out of the way. Oh, and Envy comes in with the bigger bang. Self-destruct to clean that one up.
Leaving every squishy on his team exposed without a shield, Kariv times the grab perfectly and catches every single gladiator in the doorway, making for an easy teamfight victory without any other investment necessary. Raw damage was enough to wipe out the gladiators as LA Valiant exemplify yet another great display of timing and execution. In the 4th spot, we have Profit going crazy on the Genji as the London Spitfire push the payload through the final stretch of the map with an absurd amount of time left on the clock. Dashing overhead to start the push, Bedosin lands the nano boost as Profit pulls out the Dragon Blade directly above the backline of the Boston Uprising. Calyx is the first to fall as Neko crumbles right after. Dreamcasper walks out of the spawn and immediately regrets his choice as London continued to steamroll through Gibraltar. As it pops into view, we can see that Profit just secured his 15th consecutive kill, a supremely impressive accomplishment given the level of competition in the league. In at number 3 this week, we're going back to the matchup between Seoul and Philly, but this time it's Fleta making the plays, not EQO. Switching onto the Reaper for the second stretch of the map is a rarity in and of itself, but Fleta found the best time to do so as you can see the Fusion running a triple tank Moira composition. Starting things off, Fleta breaks the Rhine Shield in front of him and immediately goes to work with the Death Blossom. Fraggy, trying to swat away the diving Zunba, accidentally swings his hammer into Fleta, which propels him into the backline of Philadelphia, enabling him to take out Neptuno, Carpe, and an ulting boombox with ease. Much to the surprise of the Fusion, the teamfight is all but wrapped up in a split moment as a single ultimate from Fleta is enough to put away the fight for good as he wraps things up with a kill onto EQO for good measure. In our second spot this week, we have a play from Hydration as he asserts himself as the best Genji player in all of LA. After both teams captured point B with time to spare on Hanamura, Valiant did so again but in overtime, meaning that it was all or nothing for the Gladiators going into this round. They had to capture both points in order to at the very least cause a draw. Playing to win as always, however, Hydration starts this incredible sequence off with a dash through Soon and Unko, killing the former and forcing a Transcendence out of the latter. Patiently awaiting the end of the Transcendence, Hydration intelligently utilizes the dash reset mechanic as he dashes into the Valiant, activates his ultimate, and immediately dashes back out for a huge amount of damage. Flicking around, he quickly finishes off Kariv, forces the Primal Rage out of Fate, but most importantly, picks off Envy before he is able to remech. Keeping composed after the intense triple kill, Hydration is able to perfectly time his reflect ability in order to send a volley of Xenorbs from Unko directly into Verbo, who was just 2% away from his sound barrier. Obviously he then goes on to pick off Unko as well, and that's the entire teamfight won with a single incredible play from Hydration. In our top spot this week, we have the closing moments from the final series of the week, the matchup between the Dallas Fuel and Florida Mayhem. Having barely pushed the payload through to the final checkpoint in overtime during their push, Florida were attempting to stop Dallas from doing the same in return. Edging ever so close to the end of the map, Dallas had the clear player advantage in the final engagement, but Florida came with the advantage of having Tviq on their side. Oh, and spawn advantage too, but I mean, mostly Tviq. To start the comeback, in the corner of the screen, Tviq is able to take out Chips with one clip and a melee. He then goes on to stall out the payload in supremely impressive fashion. Without a recall to keep him alive initially, he survives with the Harmony Orb from Zupe against the two opposing tanks on the payload. As Logix and Swoosh both fall off screen, Tviq is still able to survive, taking down Rascal whilst positioning himself behind the payload as to not succumb to the Diva Bomb in play. His recall ability finally comes off cooldown as he uses it to take out Harryhook. The incredible stalling effort lasted long enough for other members of the Mayhem to respawn and flood back onto the point in unison. Zupe narrowly builds his Xenord and activates it without a moment's hesitation. Tviq is finally taken out by AKM sniping from a distance, but it's too little too late as the spawn advantage starts to play a huge factor in the fight and the tables turn in favor of Florida. Mickey and Chips are taken out, and that's the end of the map as an exceptional effort from Tviq allows for Florida to halt the payload, tie up the series, and take Dallas to a 5th map, the second Texan team to do battle with Florida on Ilios this week. Ultimately, it was Florida who came out on top this time, winning their second series in the league in impressive fashion. So that's our list for this week in the Overwatch League. I hope you enjoyed the video. Feel free to voice your opinions in the comments below, let me know what you think might have deserved a spot on this list. It's always a fun discussion to have. As always though, thanks for tuning in, I'll see you in the next one.